Hi, I'm here at Toledo JeepFest. This is not just a car show, this is a full-on festival. So I'm gonna walk around, try and give you a little overview in terms of what there is to do and see here, and also look at some vintage Jeeps, because we all like vintage Jeeps. Anyway, let's go check it out. The Saturday festivities kick off with a huge Jeep parade in downtown Toledo. You can see by the huge crowd, this is a large event that draws a lot of people. Toledo's history with Jeep goes all the way back to the beginning, and so do the Jeeps here in the parade. There's even a few Jeeps that you don't normally see. There's a nice old postal Jeep and a military version of the Jeep Gladiator pickup truck. There is also, of course, a contingent of Shriners with their early 50s Jeepsters. Of course, you don't need a vintage Jeep. The parade is open to any Jeep owner who cares to show off their machinery. You know, big Jeeps, little Jeeps, Jeeps that climb on rocks. Man, of course, there are rubber ducks. A lot of rubber ducks. People throw out rubber ducks. Everybody throws out rubber ducks. If you're not familiar with the whole duck Jeep tradition, it started just a few years ago during COVID, and it's a thing where Jeep owners put rubber ducks on the fenders of other Jeeps that they see in parking lots. Some Jeep owners embrace it, others, not so much. Also, it's not a Jeep parade if you don't see two Jeeps driving on each other. The whole parade is great fun though, so really if you own any kind of a Jeep, this is your moment, so own it. You better never let it go. Now I know what you're thinking, can I buy Jeep swag? Of course you can. There are several streets of vendors, plus some vendors inside. There's also vendors for auto parts and accessories. Hey, look at that, you can get your picture taken with a clanker. Batman is wandering around providing security. Wonder Woman passed me also, but I didn't have my camera ready. Sorry guys. They closed down several streets to accommodate all of the vendors. There are lots of food vendors. Red Bull was out handing out free Red Bulls. Plus there's activities for the kids like this Power Wheels course. There's also an indoor radio controlled course, which actually looks pretty fun. There's quite a few vintage Jeeps parked in amongst the vendors. They just can't resist driving up on curbs, can they? Ooh, a nice Jeep Gladiator over there. Yeah, that's not a Jeep. There's actually a pretty extensive Jeep car show cruise-in thing going on, but that's mostly modern Jeeps, and that's not really the focus of this channel, so I'm just going to kind of skip over that. Just know that there's a lot of that going on. Friend of the channel, Vintage Jeep Paint, was there. He offers factory-correct Jeep colors reformulated into modern automotive paints. Go visit his website. Use his paint on your next project. Don't have a project? Just go and visit his website and buy his swag. That's vintagejeeppaint.com. Couldn't be simpler. All right, so let's start looking at some Jeeps. This first one is kind of a doozy. As World War II is winding down, Willys Overland is starting to think about a civilian version of the military Jeep. They start with a prototype called the CJ, that stands for Civilian Jeep. The CJ1, they built a couple of them, it's unknown exactly how many. With a few refinements, they came out with the CJ2, that's the second generation prototype. They built about 40 of those, and finally released the CJ2A. That was the first Jeep available to the general public. This is one of those CJ2 prototypes, serial number 3, making this the oldest civilian Jeep known to exist. If you look closely, you can see that this features a column shift. It also has the tool indents for the military-style body tub, and it has a working tailgate. And yes, that is also a PTO on the back. While we're still outside, before we go in and take a look at the main display area, let's stop and take a look at this 1947 Jeep pickup truck. This is the first year for Jeep to have a pickup truck, and 1947, this is just a little bit after the war, so we're coming out with this fairly early on. This is a 4x4 truck, and this body style would continue with surprisingly little modification all the way up until 1965 when it was discontinued. It actually had some overlap with the Jeep Gladiator design pickup truck. The Gladiator, of course, was based on the Wagoneer platform. Oh, speak of the devil! You like movies about gladiators? All right. This is technically not a Gladiator. They stopped officially using that name after 1972. This is just a plain Jeep pickup truck, or a J10. Although this is in Honcho trim package, which does make it a little cooler. The Honcho package for 1979 included things like that big roll bar with the lights up on top, in addition to the cool decals. Sticking with the theme of Jeep pickup trucks, next up we have another very nice looking Jeep J10. This one is in normal trim level, but still a very nice looking truck with some subtle modifications. There was no sign on this one, so I'm not sure exactly the year. The number of year-over-year changes on these trucks were very minimal, but I think this is 1976, 7, or 8. But maybe a real Jeep expert could weigh in if there's something I'm missing here. Next up, we have about a 1964-ish Jeep Wagoneer. At this point, the Wagoneer could be had in either 2- or 4-door configuration. A decade later, in 1974, the Jeep Cherokee would be introduced specifically as the 2-door sportier version of the Wagoneer. When the Cherokee was introduced, that was the first use of the term sport utility vehicle. So the 2-door version that you're looking at here is really the first SUV. Jeep also built some really cool cab-over trucks. Jeep called it the Forward Control. This one is from 1958. They came in basically 2 configurations, the FC150 and the larger 1-ton FC170. These were made for 10 years, from 1956 up to 1965. And I don't know, they're really cool trucks. I've never seen an uncool FC truck. They came in a number of configurations, fire trucks, tow trucks, pickup trucks. We're going to actually, if you stick with the video, I've got a couple of other configurations of Jeep FCs coming up, which are really cool. Here's an interesting one. This is a 1970 Jeepster Commando. This is a special one, though. When it was built in 1969, it was turned over to the Research and Styling Department and was used as sort of a test bed for new features. This car has a lot of features that would later show up on the 1971 Hearst Jeepster Special Edition. This is truly a one-of-a-kind car, and when the current owner purchased it, the left side and right side were painted in different colors. Oh, here is the vehicle that put Jeep on the map. This is a 1943, that's a wartime Willys MB. Ford also had a contract to make these, but when Ford made them, they were referred to as the Jeep GPW. Also, although most people today pronounce it Willys, if you go back in time, the actual correct pronunciation is Willis. I kind of go back and forth on it because although I know Willis is correct, Willys is just like so ingrained in my brain that I really can't stop myself. Next up, we've got a 1952 M38, but it's got a little surprise here. Under the hood, we've got nothing. What this is a product of a company called Hadley Engineering out of Costa Mesa, California. They operated in the 1970s, although I haven't been able to find exactly what years they were open. They sold Jeeps that were VW conversions. We've got a Volkswagen engine back here. They sold them as complete Jeeps or in kit form. It looks like when you purchased the kit, you also supplied the donor Volkswagen. Their paperwork said that you could do the conversion in 40 hours. Today, it's an interesting look at a little slice of Jeep modding culture, which was really big. Particularly in the 70s, early Jeeps were cheap and plentiful. Hey, speaking of modding culture, there's a little something special on this Jeep with the actually really well-detailed engine compartment. This one has been modified by a company called Farnsworth and Middlecoff with a SRAM 60 cubic foot air compressor. They advertise that the Jeep's all-terrain ruggedness will help you get compressed air to any job site. And, you know, it looks like it would probably work pretty well. In addition to the neat compressor conversion, this Jeep also has a little bonus. It is pulling a Bantam trailer. Bantam, of course, is the company that's credited with the initial design for the reconnaissance car that would become the Jeep. When it came time to award wartime contracts, though, the government deemed that Bantam just didn't have the manufacturing capacity that it needed, but as a consolation prize, they did get a contract for trailers. Today, original Bantam trailers are highly sought after by collectors. Oh, by the way, this Jeep is not just a compressor conversion. This is the compressor conversion that was featured in the company's literature. There's a picture of this exact Jeep right on the cover of the brochure. It's really super neat that this promotional vehicle has survived all these years. Up next, we have a 1951 M38. This is essentially the Jeep that replaced the MB, the World War II Jeep. This is basically a military version of the CJ3A. It has a number of differences from its civilian counterpart. It has a beefier frame and suspension and a 24-volt electrical system. This would be the Korean War era Jeep, along with the M38A1 that had more rounded fender. Next up, we have another military Jeep. This is an M151A2 from 1969. The M151 was built by Ford and also Kaiser, which gave way to AM General. They were made from 1959 all the way up until 1988 when they were finally replaced by the Humvee. Note that unlike a lot of earlier Jeeps, there was no civilian version of this because it didn't meet federal highway safety standards. This would be the Vietnam era Jeep, although at the time there were still a lot of earlier M606s still in service. That's the round-fendered kind of 1950s looking Jeep. All right, I promised you more Jeep cab overs, and here is a nice one. This is based on the 1-ton FC-170. This is a 1965 Jeep M679 ambulance. As you can see, this military variant looks like the standard Jeep FC cab in a windowless van configuration. This is a fairly rare vehicle. The signage on here says this is one of 50 of these military ambulances. There is a similar M678 that is a carry-all van that has windows. This is just a super cool vehicle. It's got a great look. Next up, we have another forward control Jeep. This one is a fire truck. This is from 1963, and it was modified by Howe Fire Apparatus. There you can see all the pumping stuff that's been added to the front. So this is a pumper truck. Anyway, this was converted by Howe Fire Apparatus for the LOF stands for Libby Owens Ford. So that's Libby Glass in Toledo. So this would have been the in-house fire truck for their factory. Next up, we have something really unusual. This is a 1977 J10 pickup extended cab. Never seen an extended cab? That's because they don't exist. This is a factory prototype to test the concept. Instead of a lengthened truck cab, what this is a shortened Wagoneer body on a long bed frame with a short bed box to make everything fit nicely. Ultimately, they decided not to go in this direction, which is really too bad because I think this is a really sharp looking truck. Hey, it's 1976 and you can buy all kinds of special trims and packages for your Jeep. This one has the Levi's upholstery option. That is a blue denim with the Levi's branded tie-in, and also has the Renegade trim package on the CJ5. The Renegade option package included the admittedly cool Renegade graphics, plus limited slip differential and alloy rims. Although in this case, I don't think the owner is using the factory rims. Anyway, super cool looking Jeep. Up next, we have a very nice 1968 J3000 Gladiator. This one is a very nice, unmolested barn find with only 26,000 miles on the clock. It has the optional custom cab that is a little bit more luxurious inside than a normal Gladiator. The truck has some other nice options too, including four-wheel drive and the 6,000-pound gross vehicle weight longer wheelbase, referred to as the J3600. The signage says the truck was just recently refreshed in 2025 and looks like they did a great job on it. There's that upscale interior looking very nice. Next up, we have a 1966 CJ5A. This is another one of those special editions that I was talking about. In this case, this is a Tuxedo Park edition. What the Tuxedo Park was Jeep's attempt to take the rough and ready Jeep CJ5 and give it an appearance and comfort package that gives it a little broader appeal, maybe appeal to some of those people that would not necessarily be Jeep buyers. Unfortunately, the Tuxedo Park didn't really sell all that well, so it's kind of a rare option package to find today. With that yellow air hose, by the way, he's demonstrating the engine-driven air compressor. Hey, here's a Jeep we all know and love. This is a Jurassic movie tribute car. They've used the correct year and model Jeep for this. This is a 1993 Jeep Wrangler Sahara. Owner has gone to great lengths to make this movie accurate, not only the accurate paint job, but also the correct light bar, winch, antenna, and all-terrain tires. The Wranglers used in the film were in fact the Sahara edition, so of the various Jurassic Park tributes that I have seen, this one is pretty much as accurate as you can get without actually having one of the ones used in the film. It's a good Jeep to have when you really and truly must drive faster. Next up, from 1977, we have another Jeep CJ5. This one is also the Renegade package, and like the other Renegade, this has the Levi's branded interior. Although this one is not blue, you did not have to get the blue jeans look interior if you bought the Levi's branded tie-in. Which is nice, because I don't think with this body color the blue would have really worked. I think the camo really sets it off better. Next up, we have a 1986 CJ7 in Laredo trim package. This is a significant Jeep in that 1986 would be the last year for the Jeep CJ. The CJ would be replaced by the Jeep Wrangler, which, I mean, it's nice, but it's just not the same. This really legitimately marks the end of an era. Hey, good looking. 1986 Jeep Grand Wagoneer with the yacht paneling and everything. I have always liked these, and in the early 90s when it came time for me to buy a truck because I needed something for parts hauling and trailer pulling, I really wanted one of these, but I couldn't justify it because the Suburban had a larger cargo capacity, so that's really what I needed, and I've really always owned a Suburban ever since, but really my heart is with the Grand Wagoneer. I mean, it's really kind of too bad in a way because these could be had fairly cheaply back in the early 90s. They're a bit more expensive these days. Well, I guess everything is. Let's swing back around to do a military truck. This is a 1967 M715. The M715 was produced from 1967 to 1969, so this is very squarely in the Vietnam era. This is very close to the civilian version of the Jeep Gladiator. Throughout this time period, the military was using a commercial off-the-shelf procurement method where a lot of their vehicles were very close to, or if not identical to, the civilian version, and that helped with parts procurement. Oh, nice. 1954 CJ3B. It's worth noting that in 1954 the CJ5 came out, but that didn't mean that the CJ3B stopped production. They continued to produce both of them concurrently. In fact, the 3B continued to production all the way up until 1968. The same thing would happen to the CJ5, which would continue production even though the CJ6 and then the CJ7 came out. I like the CJ3s. They have that really nice early Jeep flat-fendered look. Hey, I don't know if you remember, but earlier in the video I covered that M151. That's the military Jeep that didn't really have a civilian counterpart. Well, this is an M715, which is a variant of the M151. The M718 is the military ambulance. It had a longer, wider, and taller body for transporting wounded personnel, although notably the wheelbase was still the same. Its immediate predecessor, the M170, was built on an extended wheelbase. I actually covered one of those in my last video on the Auburn Car Show if you want to go and check one of those out. This one was found and rescued from a junkyard, and it took the owner a lot of effort to locate all of the original M718 kit parts. I really like this build. It's not an original old Jeep, but I don't know, I just think it's cool. This is a 1978 Jeep Cherokee 4xe concept. What it is underneath it is a 2022 Jeep Wrangler with a retro body on there. There were actually a number of really cool resto mod or concept builds at the show, but that's not really the focus of the channel because I mostly just do actual vintage cars. But I thought I might touch on a couple of them that I don't know, I just thought were neat. This one I thought hit all of the sort of vintage look buttons. I really like the paint scheme that they've chosen on here, and it's got good proportions with, of course, an entirely modern powertrain. What do you guys think? Is this a yes, no, maybe so? I don't know. Maybe if Jeep built something like this, people would buy it. This next one is a Jeep Scrambler 392. This is a homage to the 1981 Jeep Scrambler concept car. The Jeep Scrambler concept car was released by Jeep as a possible CJ8, which really never saw development. This is built as kind of a homage to that, and I don't know, I think it's a really nice build. This one is built on Jeep Rubicon underpinnings. Well, I think with this one, I'm going to kind of wrap up my coverage of JeepFest. It's been a really good time, and I think JeepFest is well worth the trip, especially if you like Jeeps. Well, that was just a little overview of Toledo JeepFest. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any interest in Jeeps at all, you should definitely come down and check it out next year. If you like this video and want to see some more videos, there's a link right about there that you can subscribe to the channel, or you can look at some of my other videos. They're right about there. There's some good ones back there. Hey, subscribe to the channel, or like, or comment, do all that stuff. Anyway, until next time, I'll talk to you.